Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Finish fans. After a couple of weeks off, we are back to talk all things Annihilators, the first of the Third Doctor relaunch items. Once again, I'm joined with Luke.
Hello again, everyone. It's good to be back.
It's
Been almost 4 weeks, hasn't it?
I know, and a lot's happened, a lot of news. We'll cover the news, so the way the stream's going to work, we'll do a little general chat, let a few people join, do our little review on the Annihilators, and then we'll dive into the pile of news we have. So, what we've been doing while we've been away, I guess.
Just working and listening to Big Finish, really. I think it's
Standard.
Yeah, standard. Watching some Doc 2 as well in the meantime. And, along with some other shows as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
For like the purposes of these streams, it does seem like our life revolves almost entirely around Doctor Who, because that's what people come to listen to us talk about. But we have other things going on as well. We have other shows we watch. Right?
Book of
Boba
Boba
Fett.
Fett.
I think we both finished that. And
Finished.
we were just talking about Around the World in 80 Days just before we went live.
What a good show that is. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's a good show.
Yeah, very wholesome stuff, really, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And it's more Tennant, so can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
But yeah, how about you? What have you been up to?
I mean, I had tonsillitis, so that's why I didn't stream for 2 weeks. I had no voice, so that would have been an awkward stream, just you talking basically yourself. And then just third year of uni, last sort of push, final year. So that's where my time's at the minute. So whatever little chunk I have, it's Big Finish or going to B&M and hunting dollies. And thankfully, Character Options have done an online exclusive. So we've got a Silurians, which very excited about. Not the Silurians I wanted, but you know what? I'll take them.
How many have you ordered then?
I've only ordered 2.
Only
ordered 2. Because I thought they looked pretty in the box. And
yeah, it's an interesting setup for the box, isn't it? Because it's got like a bit of 3D to it.
Yeah, it's sort of got like the eyes of the submarine, isn't it? That sort of almond shape. So that'll be quite interesting. Hopefully they arrive tomorrow, because some of them have been turning up. So maybe tomorrow's the day where we get Silurians and put them on our shelves. That'd be exciting.
Yeah. Sadly, we don't have our copy of Annihilators yet.
No Annihilators. So we've got a stand-in Third Doctor CD, the last lot, and Big Chief Pertwee, because why not? He looks pretty, and I've got to get the money out of him because he cost me a bit of money. So I'm like, might as well make it look pretty.
Yeah. Oh, he survived Mel then, did he?
I don't know how I coped that hour of filming.
The stress on your face in that video.
It was horrible, but yeah, there we go. He survived. He's all intact. He can still move. He's still my child.
There we go.
It's all good.
Hello, Ben Miller. Hello, Stylish One. And hello, Amelia K. Lloyden.
Hello, everyone. There we go. Before my laptop dies, battery.
Yeah, got a few questions already pouring in.
Should we dive into a few questions first?
Yeah, might as well.
Let's do a few questions.
I think this one isn't really a question, but Ben Miller's just saying, I love the Cyberman designs from the Lost Warriors covers. I hope that design appears in future Big Finish releases. Yeah, be ashamed to use it only once.
Yeah, I mean, especially all the effort they've gone to design it. And, we thought it would be like a one-off design, but, I mean, the joys of audio, you can picture it in any Cyberman story because the voice isn't particularly unique, I would say.
No, it's rather... But I think that was one of our disappointments with Monsters in Metropolis, wasn't it? But I mean, Ninth Doctor and Cybermen, we'll have more to say about that a bit later when we get to the news.
Yeah, I've been listening to that, so that's another thing we've been doing. But yeah, any recommendations from the last batch of audios going out of print? So that's like the first batch of Torture releases, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the first 12. I mean, Better Watch, not Better Watch Out. That's Eighth Doctor. Yeah. Made You Look. That's what I'm going for. That's a very good one from that. I think I made you pick that one up, didn't I?
Yeah, I've still not got around to it. Just the recent release this February seems to be, because it's a small month. Just the releases just seem to be piling up. But yeah, we've got quite a few Bernie Summerfields going out of print. Eighth Doctor series 3 and 4, I think. Demos, Resurrection of Mars, they're a good one. Lucy Miller to the Death, they're always good. Lost Stories, the Mega, that's going out of print, so buy that. That's a 6-part Pertwee story.
That's all the original ones going out of print now, like with the sidebar style of Lost Stories.
Yeah, that's all 4 series, isn't it? Practically going now. I'm sure they'll do a sale.
Sins of Captain John's going as well.
That's a fairly recent one, isn't it? Fairly recent one to go out of print.
I think that might have been just before the pandemic, maybe, or just at the start of.
Yeah, I think February, or was it January?
I'm feeling more February, but maybe I could just click on the link and see. January 2020. I bow to your
there we
superior knowledge there.
I just pulled it out of thin air, so it's not my superior knowledge. Lords of Red Planet.
I listened to Caddock Point recently, actually, speaking of Torchwood.
Oh, how was that?
Last month's one. That was a pretty good opener, really.
I heard good reviews about it, to be honest. Good reviews.
It's one of the more slower personal stories.
They seem to do that with Andy. They seem to really like the big character stories with him, or just putting him with Owen, which is always good. They're a good pairing.
Yeah. I think you really can picture the Welsh landscape as well it's going for. I think there's a lot of chat about art in it. And I'm not someone who really knows anything about art, but I was still able to engage with it. So I think it does a good job of, and I think that helps because Andy is also not really big into art. So he's like your viewpoint into that world. So that's quite nice. But yeah, got some good handling of mental health as well.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Is that by a new writer, or is it Caddock Point? I'm trying to remember.
No, David Llewellyn.
Oh, okay.
Quite an established run. Yeah,
that's good.
Makes me excited for his upcoming 4th Doctor one.
Oh, the Nest. Is it the Nestcliff Witches? Witch?
Ravencliff Witch.
Ravencliff Witch.
Yeah. Thoughts on the second Flip trilogy?
I'm trying to remember what the second Flip trilogy
that
is.
Was Antidote to Oblivion, which I listened to part 1 for, and then didn't end up going back. The one by Andrew Smith.
Oh, Board of Errors.
Yeah, listened to part 1 of that and didn't go back. And then Scavenger, I didn't even listen to part 1 of, so I've listened to 2 parts of that trilogy.
I've done a bit more than you. I've listened to the first 2 stories. I had a lot of fun with them, actually. Board of Eris reminded me of, I think, was it The Crimes of Thomas Brewster, I think? It had sort of a similar idea to that. I enjoyed it. Good story. Got Lisa Greenwood to sign it, so I must have enjoyed it to get it signed. And Antidote to Oblivion, I enjoyed. I think that's not got a good reputation. I think the Sill ones are a bit of a mixed bag for people, but 20-15-year-old me was like, oh yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I think I bought them a while ago when they went on sale. I think it was like down to £6 for a CD, so I picked up quite a few then. But then never really got round to them until like 2020, first lockdown, was bored, needed something to do, like listen to all the new stuff. So I think that's why I sort of stuck them on for a little bit of time, but then just never. It was more because I was sticking them on to fill time than I actually wanted to listen to them. Like, I think I didn't engage with them as much as I could have done. Like, it didn't seem like bad starts. I wasn't put off by them. It's just one of those things of never really went back to. Like, there was no rush to carry on with them for me. So
I think that is the thing with Big Finish. I think you've got to be in the right mindset to get the full out. You've got to work with some audios, and I think you just can't sit there and passively listen to some stories. So yeah, I get that completely.
Yeah. But yeah, on the topic, would you like to see more stories featuring Sylve? Stylish one asks.
I wouldn't be against it. I don't feel like I've got any strong feelings on it, to be honest. But yeah,
I feel like it'd be decent to have in the relaunch. To be fair, like,
would you
he's
want
very much an iconic Sixth Doctor villain? So
I was just going to say, would you want him with a different Doctor?
I feel like Collins laid his claim to him. I think he's one of those ones where Collins like, this is my monster. No Doctor's going to take him away from me.
Okay.
He's lost the Valiard now to McGann, so this is the only one he's got left as a full claim to.
Maybe like a season 24 story with Syl. I feel like that could be interesting.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Be a bit campy.
Yeah, I think if we're going to hear the Sixth Doctor again, I think now with the relaunch would be a good time for that. And also, I think you could probably do a COVID analogy story with him, maybe. I mean, Antidote to Oblivion, actually, is already halfway there, isn't it? But in terms of like having a big business exploiting that sort of thing, I think there's some interesting things you could say about recent events in a Syl story.
I mean, for all we know, the relaunch literally could have that. We just don't know.
Yeah,
that's the joy of it.
Yeah,
wait and see.
And thoughts on the second solo Constance trilogy? I think that's the one that ends with Quicksilver. So that's Order of the Daleks, Absolute Power, and then Quicksilver.
The only one I've listened to... Oh, no, I've listened to Quicksilver, that's a lie. Order of the Daleks I enjoyed a lot. Absolute Power, to be honest, I thought it was pretty average. Didn't do much for me, that one.
Yeah, that one. There was never anything really bad about it, but never anything all that good either. It was just
there. It's kind of like the worst offender for a Doctor Who story, isn't it? At least it's bad. It's bad. But if it's just there, like, well, there's nothing really you can take away from it, really.
I feel like there was an annoying performance in it, or like, not necessarily a bad performance, but just an annoying character.
Okay.
But I can't really remember that well, so that's just something that's the only thing that jumps into my mind when I think about Absolute Power. There was a character who annoyed me in it.
And then Quicksilver. It wasn't the best monthly range of 2016. That Doctor Who magazine poll was a lie.
I think Order of the Daleks is definitely the highlight of that trilogy.
Yeah, definitely. I'll agree with that.
Quicksilver had its moments, but was also a bit messy as well.
What's an audio with a fantastic part 1? Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, the Annihilators.
Yeah, the Annihilators. That's a good one.
We'll talk more about that in a minute, but
that's a good little segue.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on a box set that gets better with each story, and what's a box set that gets worse with each story? In terms of box sets.
I mean, for me, I'd say for Doctor Adventures Volume 7, for the getting better with each story, because I prefer the golf, but you would say it gets worse with each story because you prefer the Unsolved version.
Yeah.
But it's still
not like it's bad.
No, we're sort of cheating there because it's only 2 stories and they're both very good. It's just one happens to be better than the other. I imagine Stylish One, you're more after like a 3 or 4 episode box set where we can really say.
Quick dive on the old app just to have a look. Dark Eyes 2. Maybe I think Dark Eyes 1 gets a bit worse as it goes on.
Yeah, that does have a very strong start to it,
but still strong box set.
I'd say maybe Ravenous 4 is a box set that gets better as it goes on.
Yeah, that's true.
Ravagers gets worse as it goes on, I'd say. But then that's sort of like all one long story, so
yeah.
Dalek Universe 3. That's one that definitely gets better as it goes on.
Yeah, there we go. That's the one. That's the one. That's the one.
We've come up with a few.
What's an audio if it gets better each time you re-listen to it, and also what's an audio if it gets worse each time you re-listen to it? Oh,
I don't get to re-listen to them all that often.
No, that's
so
true.
much new stuff coming out.
That is the
I
problem.
think often by the time I get round to re-listening to something, it's because it's been so long that I've forgotten.
Or it's, hey, should we do a throwback stream and review this?
Speaking of, because this is going to be part of an upcoming throwback stream. The Defectors, I enjoyed more on this listen. I don't know how many times I've listened to it. I feel like I did do it more than once back in the day when it came out. But yeah, a little spoiler for whenever we get round to that. I did enjoy Defectors more this time.
Sort of Orion. I think, yeah, because I started listening to the first series of Charlie audios in preparation for the box set what came out in January. And do you know what? I thought Storm Warning isn't as bad as I remembered it, to be honest.
Oh.
So I remember part 3 being a mess. And yeah, it still is a mess. But there's still a lot to take away from it. So I'd say Storm Warning for that.
Yeah, and it's been so long since your last stream that we finally received news on Jekyll and Hyde. Yes, it has been a long time since we last streamed. So I think, should we move on to the Annihilators now then?
Yeah, we'll move on. We'll move on to the Annihilators and we'll catch up with the old questions once we finish that.
Yeah. Hey, Pain Cyberman.
Hello. Yeah, so the Annihilators, I'm sure we've documented it on a stream of how excited we were when it was first announced.
Yeah, it's been an up and down road, hasn't it?
It's been an up and down road, and we had the announcement that Michael Trouten and Fraser Hines will be joining it, and that's when things turned a little bit south for us, where we're like, is it necessary? Because I think with recast, they've got to find their feet, and then, it's like putting Tim Trelaw straight in with Tom Baker. It just seems like throwing him in the deep end. And, and I think the reason why we were quite vocal about, oh, no, it's not that we're against Michael Troughton recast. We're all for it. We're all respectful recast here because, we liked Third Doctor Volume 7 and all that sort of stuff. But it's when you're promised something new, like a 7-part season 7 style story, first time Big Finish have done it, and then they're like, by the way, we're going to put Trouten in there, Second Doctor. I guess why Briggs wanted to do it because he wanted to sustain 7 episodes, but the Annihilators is quite a short story. The part lengths are very short.
Part 3 is only 20 minutes, isn't it? But there was that reaction at first of this looks all right as a release, but it's not what I originally got excited for. So it felt like we were robbed of something else, didn't it?
Yeah, because I think it was. I think the best way to, because I think Stylish One was like, "Oh, you're anti-Second Doctor." We're not anti-Second Doctor. It's just that I think Stylish One said that if the Third Doctor's in it, you'd have a different reaction in like another Doctor story.
If the Third Doctor was in a authentic season 13 or 14 story, I can't quite remember which.
Yeah. I'd still feel a little bit gutted because it's something Big Finish haven't covered, have they? They haven't covered season 13, just Fourth Doctor and Sarah. So I'd still have that thought of going, as much as I like the Third Doctor, I'd want that Gothic horror season 13 story. Yeah. So I guess were we proven right or were we wrong?
Yeah. I mean, after having said all that, because we got the 3-part 1 early, didn't we? That came out at the start of the month, as they do with a random release each month. And I was really getting into that. I really loved that part 1, and I think I sort of infected you with my joy for it a bit.
Yeah,
and got you to dive in as well, didn't I?
I was sort of saving it, and then you were like, "Oh, check it out," and I downloaded, and I was like, "You know what? You're right. It's really good.
Yeah. It's really authentic, and then that authenticity does carry on throughout the story. I think even with the Second Doctor in there, he doesn't feel out of place. He feels like he fits in this world. And I feel
especially when you get to part 7 where you see how the second Doctor fits the jigsaw of the Annihilators. And you're like, okay, it makes sense why he's here.
Yeah. And I do like it as a tease for what's happening next as well with the second Doctor. And they also confirm that Fraser won't be in Beyond War Games in the extras for this. Yeah. They said that's a tease for something even further forward in 2023. So
Plummin' egg.
Yeah. Got a while to wait until we find out how it all pieces together. But yeah, like, it works well within the story. It doesn't take you out of it at all.
Yeah.
And I think as well with Second Doctor and Jamie, they are sort of tangentially related to this season 7 world because of the invasion. That's very much like the proto season 7 story, isn't it? That is the pilot for the Third Doctor era and unit. And so, and you even get some callbacks to that, some nice callbacks with the whole, I remember buildings like this. They have lifts in them from Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a simple callback, but I love me some invasion. So that warmed my heart. But yeah, it does all end up working much better than I thought it would. How about you? How did you find the second Doctor and Jamie being in this one? Because that's like the main hurdle we had.
I was surprised how quickly they were thrown into the story. Not to spoil the placement of where they are if you want to check it out for yourself, but it comes in pretty soon because I thought, it's gonna be near sort of a halfway mark where the turning point for the story to give it an extra mile for like the final finish line. But I think that there was a reason for both of them to be there. I think this is Fraser Hines' best performance in a big finish, possibly his best performance as Jamie. The reunion with the Brigadier, so lovely, and the interaction with the Third Doctor. I wouldn't say they've got sort of good chemistry, but there is a respect there because I listened to Last of the Cybermen fairly recently, and it's interesting to see how Jamie reacts to a Sixth Doctor because they're literally throwing punches, fighting.
Yeah.
Whereas within this, there's none of that. Jamie's kind of quick to accept it.
Really. They're much more brotherly, the Sixth, and they're interacting more throughout the story. I feel.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Jamie and the Third Doctor don't get too much to do in this story, but yeah, that was a wonderful scene. I think the music played really well into that as well. But yeah, as for it being a turning point, it doesn't feel like the direction of this one changes at all. I feel like tonally it's very consistent throughout. It doesn't feel like it does a Stones of Blood. I think it's the classic example of a story like this. I think the Second Doctor and Jamie do weave in nicely and sort of add an extra layer to it without changing the flavour.
Yeah, I mean, it does go sort of. I thought sort of the last two parts felt very sort of Inferno mixes, sort of Ambassadors of Death in a way. I felt.
Yeah, I feel like early on it starts quite Silurian. So I feel in some ways, like especially where you've got this police officer, that authority figure who doesn't want anything to do with the Doctor and unit. She wants them thrown out, very similar to Director
Peter
Lawrence.
Miles.
Yeah.
You've even got somebody who sounds a bit like Peter Miles in it.
Oh yes, Mark Elstop, isn't he, playing that Doctor? Yeah, actually. Yeah, now you mention it, I can hear that.
I guess it was not intentional, but for me, I was like, that's Peter Miles.
Yeah, and just so much evocative imagery, like the fact that they've set it in the stocks with these abandoned warehouses. You can picture that. That's so season 7.
Part 1, you do get that griminess to it.
The car being lifted out of the water. I'm sort of sad we didn't get a video trailer.
Yeah, I expected that. I was thinking that before we started the stream. I was like, I should put a trailer, but I was like, we didn't get a video trailer for it.
No.
And I thought this would have been a prime example, multi-Doctor story. But no, didn't get it, sadly.
Yeah. Especially if it was in the style of the cover. That would have been gorgeous. Because I think that is probably my favourite cover of the year.
I mean, I would like it framed on a poster. I do love it a lot.
Yeah, it's making me more anxious for my physical copy, but I want this in my hand. I want to see it in person.
It's a cracker. You've got these two alien species. You've got the Helt and I think the Greshnaut or something like that.
Greshnaut, isn't it?
Greshnaut, yeah. Which it feels which are good because you've got sort of a blobby monster, which I sort of imagined like the Gel Guards in a way.
You got the ecological side of it as well, playing in which is very Third Doctor era.
It does go very sort of Barry Letts, like stark warning about the future and pollution, all that at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, but then it's also it fits that season 7 style in that no two stories are the same. It's not a typical alien invasion, and like you say, it does sort of go Ambassadors of Death somewhat in that ways. Yeah, I think that played into it nicely, even if the twist was rather obvious. I would say
it did feel a bit, I guess, Galaxy 4.
Yeah, it is
in some way.
Yeah, I had some evocative imagery as well with the Greshnaut themselves, like they're the blobby monster. You get them attacking the house at one point, like the bungalow. And yeah, I won't reveal what part, but yeah, that's some quite strong imagery. And they keep commenting on the smell as well, and I think that really helps a monster,
especially in like the early episodes. That's kind of lost in like the latter end, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, like it full on overpowers the Third Doctor, doesn't it? The fumes of it.
Yeah, knocks him out when they pull that car out.
Yeah. Also, yeah, the Third Doctor himself does sort of feel a bit lost in the middle of the story, I'd say. Like, it doesn't feel like he's got as much to do. He's more hanging around in the lab for a bit while Liz is off enjoying the adventure.
Yeah. But I guess that's when it shifts to like for Jamie. It's very much for companions then. It's Brig, Liz, and Jamie leading the story where you've got Second Doctor, with the Greshnaut, and then Third Doctor's with the Helt in it, really.
I think it's perfect how they mix those two, actually. Because you've got Jamie and Liz together for a good chunk. They both talk about the Doctor, they both know the Doctor, but they haven't quite clicked yet that they're talking about two different Doctors for a while. And I think every time they're just about to, something happens where they're forced to change the conversation because their lives are in danger.
I mean, even at the start of the story, because then you get Liz, the Doctor talking to Liz about his, past incarnation, which happens in the TV show. So it was nice that there's a bit more expansion there with those two characters.
Yeah. Again, that's something like teased right off the start, isn't it? The Second Doctor. So that helps when it's weaved in later. Yeah, I think probably one of Nick Briggs's tightest scripts, I'd say.
Yeah, and it's not non-linear because Briggs likes non-linear stories, whereas this pretty much is. Well, I guess it does have a little non-linear element at the start, but it's not like a big central point for the story.
No, and it does sort of still play into the ongoing thing, doesn't it? So, yeah, it's non-linear, but it also is linear because it is happening then as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm on about. If
I know
any of you have listened, you know what we're on about. But yeah, there's only so much we can say on that topic. Yeah, I think I did have a really good time with this one.
I thought Tim, one of his best, if not his best. I genuinely thought, wow, that's John. I thought there was a much more gravelliness to him in this one. I thought.
Yeah, I can hear that actually.
And just, I think, I guess we can talk about Michael Trouten. Did he do a good job?
I think he's off to a all right start. I think it's still going to take a while to get used to it, especially because he's not the only Doctor in this one. He's like playing. You got that doubling up, or like halving, I guess.
Yeah,
like they've each got to have their bit of screen time. But yeah, I think he's got the character down very well. I think you can definitely. I think when he was he gets restrained at one point, and that suddenly put me in mind of the Two Doctors.
Yeah.
And when you watch Two Doctors, Patrick's voice is actually a bit different by then. He's like aged up a bit. Mm-hmm. And so if you're picturing that Trouten a bit more with Michael Trouten's performance here, I feel like it makes it easier to visualize.
I don't think the trailer did him justice.
No. I don't. But then is that just because that was our first listen to it and now we're getting more and more used to it?
Yeah, it's better in context, I think, because there were moments in the story I was like, okay, I genuinely heard Patrick there. Especially sort of towards the end, like in part 7. But yeah, part 6 cliffhanger, I've got to mention. One of the best cliffhangers. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, quite a few good cliffhangers throughout this one. What did you make of it's sort of like the Ambassadors of Death style, where you've got the mid title sequence.
Yeah,
you don't have the sting with it quite, do you?
I like it because I think season 7 tried to have its own identity, didn't it? Really. I think maybe they could have utilized some of the music they have in the story, like do like an Inferno, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like have the bubbling noise or something.
Yeah,
for the
that'd have been cool.
But I suppose it's a yeah. Yeah,
and I guess you would have got what they were trying to do. But I still think that it has its own flavor, like you say. It has its own identity within season 7.
Yeah, I just hope they don't overdo that intro thing, because it is only part of one season 7 story, and now we've already had it for both this and the Unzal incursion. And Unzal, it worked very well. Like, that was our first season 7. We were very hyped for it, and it did fit that ambassador style. But now I'm sort of worried, is it going to be the wash over all season 7 stories, and then that will sort of take away the magic that it has in Ambassadors?
I think if they start to utilize the music they get for stories, and because I think the Third Doctor Ventures in terms of music is just been so authentic to that 70s soundscape, and I think listening to the Annihilators, I think I said to you the other day that it just proves that the Third Doctor Adventures is sort of becoming one of the best consistent ranges Big Finish have.
Certainly one of the best, being evocative of the era.
You can tell, like, when I listen to the Big Finish podcast, you can tell how passionate Benji and Nick are about this era. And they're saying we're trying to use the sounds from this computer from this story. Just that level of detail just enhances you, makes you slip into it. And I think that's why we can visualize this story so easily, that grittiness, that griminess of season 7 with the dockyard. You really can visualize it just because of that hard work. And I think if that work's done for you, you can easily slip in and visualize the story. It makes your life a lot easier.
I think it being down to earth does help with visualization as well. Like, these are familiar environments for us. This isn't like we're having to make up our own alien world. Yeah. So that probably plays into it too. But yeah, certainly having that music, you can picture the film grain. I think I've said to you a couple of times. I probably said it when we talked about Unzal incursion as well. You can really picture it while listening to this one. And I think the music, while authentic in one sense, it is still has a bit more of a modern sensibility in it, in that it's not just incidental. It's not just there to go along with things. It does fit the emotion and the flow of the story as well, which is something that Classic Who never really did. And also, I think in terms of audio, you sort of need to do that a bit more. And so, yeah, certainly that works very well. It's a shame that it's not available separately as a music suite.
Maybe they'll add it eventually. They normally add stuff quite later on.
Yeah, but I haven't done that for a while, to be honest. Stranded 3 had a separate music suite, but
I feel like because it's a Nick Briggs release, they'll do it.
They never did it for Volume 8, though.
Oh, didn't they? That's a shame.
Maybe we'll get it, but
maybe.
Yeah, I feel like they went through a period of really being on the ball with that, and every release had its music suite either downloaded or as part of it anyway. But yeah, it seems like that's slipping a bit again now.
Yeah, well, I guess they're working on future projects for 10 years' time. But yeah, it's a solid one. Do you think that it deserves a place in season 7? Because season 7 as a TV, set of stories, it's one of the best. All 9, 10 out of 10s, and then you have, it's got its own distinct flavor, isn't it? If you look at the other Pertwee seasons, it stands out like a sore thumb, and that's not a negative because there's something quite special about season 7. I think.
Yeah, I think this does fit in with that. I think it is worthy of being part of season 7. How about you?
I think that was my worry because I'm like, season 7's so sacred to me as a fan, because like those Spearhead from Space and Inferno were my first sort of looking at the Pertwee era. So I feel kind of protective over that. I'm like, it's perfect. Don't touch it. But then I'm like, when we do get a season 7 style story, I'm like, wow, great. And I think the Unzal incursion and the Annihilators definitely have a place in that set of story rosters, really.
Yeah, and I think the ending as well feels very season 7, feels very Inferno.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, and I think even though things get a bit more timey-wimey, it doesn't feel like it's going against season 7. It does fit in with that Inferno vibe almost.
Yeah, like it's time, but not parallel. Yeah, it's not parallel. It's time, and yeah, I love the use of sort of gravity and time within the actual story itself. I love how that sort of built up with like the watches, but how the days just seem to be getting quicker and quicker, and you've got that sort of looming threat out in space, what's on its way.
Yeah, I feel like they could have almost done more with that. Like, you have talk of natural disasters and things, but I feel like you don't actually feel it. And again, that's something that makes it feel quite Inferno. But I don't feel like they do as much with that as they could have done. But yeah, I think it's still well done for the build-up of it, though, in the earlier parts. And so quite nice characters as well. Al, the policeman. Yeah, I mean, when I heard him in the trailer, I wasn't too keen on him with his blimey, I would do if I was you, sir. That thing was flipping terrifying. But actually, listening to him in the story, he grew on me, and I liked his bromance with the Third Doctor a bit there.
Had a nice little love interest as well, I think. Yeah. I think the right character.
She was quite a good character.
Yeah, I was shocked. When she popped the clogs. That's She doesn't make it out alive.
No, sadly not. Or does she?
Yeah, wow. That is true.
Spoiler within a spoiler there, perhaps.
Maybe.
But yeah, who else was? I think there was also a nice moment for Liz as well. It almost felt RTD in a way, where a unit soldier died who was guarding her. And usually, they're red shirts, they're just disposable. We don't care about them.
We get Tim Trelaw playing one as well.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, and I think part 6 or 7.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I suppose it was a Welsh one.
No, he's a bit of a gruff one.
I'll have to listen out for that when I go back to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that nice scene after that where she's talking about how he brought her coffee and such, and it very much threw me back to what was it, Aliens in London World War III, where she's like, "Oh, I talked to him, I brought him coffee, I never even asked him his name." And it's not quite that same moment, but it has that vibe to it, I feel like. And yeah, I think Liz herself is brilliant in this story. Well done to Stacey Ashford.
It's scary how close she is to her mother, like in terms of vocal range, and I'm like, damn, that's Caroline John.
Yeah, she's got the character so perfect as well. Like the banter with the Third Doctor early on as well. That's all brilliant. Stuff about the cart, the Bessie's what's it?
Steering.
Traffic avoidance system.
Yeah.
It's steering itself. I think that's brilliant. It's sort of it's similar quality to the opening of Rise of New Humans with the Joe and Dr. Banter there, I'd say. But yeah, I feel bad for bashing her performance when I first heard it in Primord, or like first heard it in a trailer for Primord. So I feel like you had the Brig there as well, and John Coltrane got that so right from the start. But I feel like I might have been a bit harsh on Daisy Ashford at first. Yeah, she really has.
I think that just shows the potential of the recast. I guess that's why we were a bit unsure about Michael Trouten being in this. Look, let him have time to settle into the role. Because if there's a story there to be told, then let's tell the story, but let's give it time. Let him find himself. It's like, Tim being put straight into with Tom. You wouldn't want that, really. So I think that it shows the development of, these recasts.
Yeah, that's true. I think also going back to Primord, it didn't help that story there was a bit something going on with Liz there that made her have to perform it differently anyway. But yeah, like you say, a lot of these recasts, there is that initial knee-jerk reaction of, no, this doesn't sound like them at all. But then it grows on you over time, doesn't it? And they grow into it over time as well. And so, yeah, with Michael, I think I'm definitely excited for Second Doctor Adventures now beyond War Games. I'm excited to see him take it further.
Maybe not for the cover art. I think that's one of the worries with the first Doctor, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get around to that very shortly. But yeah, I suppose should we stick this on the tier list now?
Yeah, let's do that. I can get the old screen share up. There we go. So where's it going to go on our tier list? What we did, I think, was it December we did it or November?
No, I think it must have been November, maybe even October. Oof, I'll have to have a look back.
There we go. Here's the tier list.
Streamed 3 months ago. November 12th.
There we go. Do you want to do your little intro?
Well, okay. So we got Greatest of All Tim up the top there. Nice little pun for a while back. Absolutely vintage stuff. Good for Dr. Quote. We don't want to bear a grudge for a few bad moments, do we? Basically meaning it's a pretty good story. It's just got some naff bits in it, but overall it's fun. You're quite right, Joe. I would listen to it if I have the time. One that we didn't enjoy quite so much, but could maybe enjoy more on a re-listen if we can ever be bothered to. And there are times with Finish where you sorely try my patience. Twist on a classic Brig quote there. And then finally written by a ham-fisted bun vendor.
So where's the Annihilators going to go? Is it going to be the Greatest of All Tim?
I think it's certainly either that or absolutely vintage stuff for me.
I was thinking vintage stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree there.
I feel like I'd need to re-listen to it for it to be to see whether it is the Tim to go in the Tim section. But for now, it's a solid one. It's another belter.
Yeah, I think that's a worthy placement of it there. So it fills out that slot a little bit.
Yeah, just makes it beefs it up a little bit, and it stands out quite well. Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's the same level as Operation Hellfire. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. DJ Masonic has said, I wouldn't mind if every season 7 set audio had the ambassador style opening. I like how it separates from the others. That's fair enough.
I guess it's an identity, isn't it? It's a season 7 story with that.
Yeah. I mean, I disagree, but I respect your opinion nevertheless. And I think, speaking of interesting identity, we had a different ident at the start of this one.
Yeah, we get Daisy Ashford doing that.
Yeah, and it's like this nice 70s style. You can imagine it almost being like that Thames logo, can't you, by the side with the music they use. Yeah. And it makes me excited for what else they can do with that new ident now.
Yeah, when I started listening to Old Friends, I was like, is Eccleston going to introduce it? I reckon Tom's going to do one, definitely.
Yeah, they've got to do something for Mind of the Hodiak, something 80s there for that. I'd love if they could get Russell to read it.
Oh, he'll camp it up. He'll camp it up. Should we have another look at the chat and then we'll take a look at the news, shall we?
Yeah, might as well. Cyrus1 says, always great to see a set full of recasts get praised, especially after a bit of negativity about the recasts went round. Yeah, we'd love to spread some positivity about the recasts. I mean, we thought it was an all recast set at first, but then we got Fraser in there as well. So.
Yeah, Fraser's the original Link.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're so faithfully recreated that you don't feel it so much. I think probably the weakest at the moment would be Michael. But that's also, just starting off, still getting into it. And also, we haven't had time to adjust to his voice yet. The other three have already had a head start on him. So they're not the ones we're listening out for as much. We're sort of trying to catch Michael Trouten out in a way, if that makes paying more attention to him than we maybe should do.
Yeah, because you're waiting for moments. You're like, that's it. That's what I'm waiting for. You're waiting for that moment where it clicks together. And you're like, that's that character I know and love.
I think he got close quite a few times for me. I don't think he's had quite that full-on moment yet, but certainly I feel like he can get there pretty soon. So hopefully that.
Did he record this first? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, he did.
So that makes me hopeful for Beyond the War games then. It'd be interesting. That's an interesting thing. Do you think, because they're parents of the actors, do you think they brush up and watch their parents, how their voice were, or do you think they just go off memory? Do you think they go and take the time and effort to research it, or?
I think Sadie Miller says she has gone back to it because I think she finds Elizabeth there so distinctive from her mum, because that's not how she remembers her mum. She remembers her mum as more of the Sarah Jane Adventures character, not character, but her at that age, that point in her life, and so she can go back and rewatch those with a degree of removal, I suppose. I think.
Yeah, I can see
I'm
that.
terribly misquoting her here, but that's the gist of what she has said in interviews. Yeah, I think I know. Michael said he was trying to get a bit of him and a bit of his dad in there.
I mean, I can't say I know Michael Trouten's personality that well.
No, he's sort of
the
lesser known of the two Troutens, isn't he? Like him and David.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Funnily enough, it was with Peladon last month, and then this month. Solely now, I realise not how close Patrick and Michael's voices are, but how close Michael and David's voices are. They are very similar. I think they look quite different.
Yeah.
But yeah, their voices are very close.
There's a softness to both of their voices, I feel. Yeah.
Stylish One also asks, Ben, do you still stand by your old opinions on box sets where you were actively against them? That's going back a while, but yeah, since we just reviewed a box set, seems appropriate.
Well, it's a single story.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's our first for Doctor individual cover, technically.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it's part of the relaunch. It's this relaunch full box set. So,
work out cheaper for you, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the main range, I know a lot of people miss it. I haven't found myself missing it as such because I think we've had so many exciting things where you're just like, wow, let's move on to the next thing. But I kind of go against that point. I think that was probably my teenage edgelord stage of life.
Yeah. I think it's very much that early thing of 1 to 50 are the best. They're the Holy Grail. You need to keep doing it this way. Carry on the lines Gary Russell laid down for us, or he'll come out of retirement. He's not past it,
Yeah, I think the 50s, they have their own identity. And I was talking to James last week about this year in terms of Big Finish. I think Big Finish now know they're good and they have every right to have that confidence. But I think my worry with Big Finish now is they feel a little bit complacent. And I think that the releases I've listened to up until the Annihilators came out, I know it's still early in the year, but there hasn't been that sort of wow factor in that sort of risk. And the Annihilators made me go, you know what, we're getting there. That was good, nice little change, I think. I don't know if you feel the same or what.
You said the Charlotte Pollard box set sort of brought you back to that early experimental vibe as well.
Yeah, the Mommy Speaks, because of just how bat crazy it is. Because it literally just throws its hand in the air and go, you know what, let's just be bizarre. Let's have a gorilla as a companion. Let's have Guy.
Done it again. I picked another stupid ape.
And it works. It's great.
It does.
I love him.
It's a lot of fun, that one.
Like, he's not a person in an audio. He's a gorilla. He's not in an audio booth, but there's a lot of character there.
It's charged with so many references as well.
It is.
Is no one interested in ancient history? Like the sinking ship from the Reign of Terror. We go back to it. I did not think we'd return to the sinking ship.
I was surprised how early it is for 8 and Charlie, because they've literally just got off the R101. Charlie's still in that sort of little waiter, sort of steward.
Between Minuet and Hell and whichever one comes next, I think it's meant to be, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's weird how they sort of reference, Charlie's in a little disguise. Or something like that. So it makes it's strange. But I had a lot of fun with that.
I think so. The highlight of that one was the banter between the Eighth Doctor and Charlie.
And I think listening to that box set, McGann just felt energized. Because Stranded, there's a bit of a glumness to the Eighth Doctor. It's just, for me, that was the Eighth Doctor, 8 and Charlie. There's that enthusiasm for life and that hunger to see the beauty of the universe. And I think that's the McGann we all know and love.
Yeah. I suppose Stranded has a bit more of a depressing outlook on things, to be fair.
You can tell McGann's in it and just enjoying the ride of it all, really.
Yeah. But yeah, I think in terms of back to box sets, the original point.
Yeah.
I think it's just a way of releasing stories, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Ultimately, you could still have like 1 to 50 style of like the releases where it's just a 4-parter a month and it's all different. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they won't become complacent with it. It's just more the format rather than the actual storytelling behind it. And yeah, like you say, it works out cheaper as well. And also it works out better in terms of you are putting the story length first a bit more. You're not forcing everything to be a 4-parter now. We are getting more 2-parters and supposedly 3-parters at some point as well. So it does seem like that's working out nicely so that each story is the length it needs to be, not each release is the length it needs to be with the story stretched to fit that.
Yeah.
Or compressed to fit that, even.
I think as well with the box sets, there's pros and cons of anything, but I think, if you're invested if you want one story from a box set, it's like the short trips. I only really want the Third Doctor short trip, but you have to buy the box set. I mean, not that it matters for us really, because we're buying anyway. But if you want to cherry pick, it limits you to cherry pick. If that's a downside of it.
But I suppose with the current box sets where it is only 3 discs, it's not like you're getting burned with that much extra.
No, you just think that's a nice little added bonus, really.
Yeah. And the spines now, it's great having that. That looks a lot better on the shelf, like each more distinctive.
You kind of wish they did it earlier, though. I think that's the thing. They just look. They just pop on the shelf, really. Unless it's for Sixth Doctor and Perry box set. That's a bad one for the shelf.
Yeah, I do like the current format of the spines, where it is the logo going sideways. I think that works very well.
It looks good. I do like it. So yeah, in terms of my thoughts on box sets, I've changed. I've changed. Yeah, can wipe that clean. I'm all for box sets because that's actually a Big Finish's business market now, I guess. Isn't it?
Yeah, like you get the odds single release. Like, got Mind of the Hodiak out next month, so it's not totally dead, but yeah, it's sort of like moving into a new era now.
Yeah, it's all good. Favorite and least favorite multi-doctor audios?
I can't really think of all the multi-doctor audios off the top of my head, to be honest.
I mean, Out of Time, that's got to be up there.
Yeah.
That just because
Light at the End is a bit of a classic.
Light at the End, yeah. A lot of people sort of bash that one. I'm like, oh no, it's good. I enjoy that one a lot.
It's been a while since I've gone back to it, but I suppose that's sort of like you have to be in a celebration mood for it, don't you?
Yeah. Project Lazarus, I enjoy that one. What other multi-doctor? I think least favorite. It's my least favorite. Four Doctors is a bit of a disappointing one. That subscriber one.
Is it?
That's not as epic as you hope it to be.
Yeah, so like you're thinking Four Doctors versus Daleks. That's going to be quite exciting. It's only an hour long as well, isn't it? So
yeah, I think it's an hour or 70 minutes. So yeah.
Hasn't that got like 5 different covers as well? Because like, they've got the sidebar with the TARDIS on, and then they've also got an individual sidebar for each Doctor.
Every logo for those Doctors. So it's a chunky booklet.
Stardust one says, "Wasn't Charlie disguised in Minuet in Hell?"
I've not got up to Minuet in Hell in my little marathon, so I can't really remember.
Yeah. Stardust one also says, "The end of the beginning cover is the end of the beginning cover. Young McGann or a composite? Hard to tell since he barely ages. Composite, isn't it?
I think it's a composite. I think it's one of like the Dark Eyes Ravenous photos with like the TV movie wig. I think, especially on the Lucy cover, that's definitely a Dark Eyes photo with TV movie McGann wig.
Yeah, he really does barely age.
He's got the Fountain of Youth. He's a real Paul McGann.
Yeah. It makes he's drinking the sap. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. The moth. If you've not listened to Dr. Charlie box, you might be a bit confused.
Yeah, Eclipse. That one actually put me in mind of Planet of the Ood as well. It felt quite a new series. Like the ending.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think
that's true. Should we do the news? Should we dive into a bit of news since there's quite a bit to talk about?
Yeah,
and
let's
then
go for it.
We'll do the last few questions, and then we'll
return to the chat.
Get the old news article up. There we go. There we go. Share. Run, the Cybermen are coming. We'll talk about you in a minute. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I think we've got to scroll right back down.
Right down. There we go.
Protectors of Time first.
The 8th of March, getting a second box set.
This was a surprisingly late announcement as well. Like end of January.
Quite a quick turnaround then, really.
When was it? I'll check the recording dates. 13th of October, it says, and then more to be announced. It's sort of becoming a worrying trend, isn't it? Because we were thinking, we're all budgeted out for the next few months, will be fine. And then suddenly about the release schedule doubled.
Yeah. and you're like, oh damn, more money going to Big Finish. Granted, you don't have to buy everything.
No,
but
you don't. But
for us, we like to do these streams, so for your entertainment, we do it for you. But yeah, this is an interesting bunch. So we've got a Romana story and K9 in probably just after Warriors Gate, because you've got the Farrells in there.
Yeah, you got John Dorney playing. What's it, Birok again?
Oh yeah, from War Doctor.
Yeah, and then Prism, which features it's a crossover between Lady Christina and Jenny. Wonder which theme that'll use.
Probably Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny.
She's center of the cover.
Yeah,
and she'll get David of like, oh, you can't have David now. Mind you, they're probably busy playing Wordle.
No. Yeah, I imagine the first episode will have the Fifth Doctor theme.
Yeah, the 80s theme,
yeah, the 80s. I mean,
yeah.
There's also work. Sixth and Fourth Doctor technically, but it's the Howell.
Yeah, Peter Howell. Yeah.
Just that arrangement, I think that'd suit that. Because I believe for the Ace and Benny one in Volume 1, it was just a Son of Doctor theme.
See, I have that box set. I've not listened to it.
I don't have that box set, but I just know.
Oh, it's not like we can do an 8th of March tier list then.
No. It's just the mystery of what is the final story going to have as a theme, because we have Rani back. Not the Rani, we have Rani back from Sarah Jane Adventures, teaming up with Joe as well.
And we've got the character from, is it Magician's Apprentice and the Zygon 2-parter, isn't it?
Oh, is that where she's from?
Yeah. Series 9. Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, making her Big Finish debut as well.
I think that's certainly the story that grabs me the most. And I think if it wasn't there, I'd be very much less likely to pick up this box set. But yeah, having that there.
Yeah, for me, that is it's Joe, it's Katie Manning. I'm probably gonna get it, because Katie Manning. Who doesn't love Katie Manning?
Yeah, it's just Sarah Jane Adventures was a big part of my childhood. So
Sarah Jane Adventures was a big ritual, wasn't it, on that Monday, and then going straight to CBBC channel after it.
Yeah.
To get part 2, it was a big highlight of your week, really. It's all good. So yeah, we'll pick that up. maybe do a review on it.
Yeah, I think we'll certainly hear our thoughts at some point on that one.
We'll certainly cover it. Old and new friends join the Doctor. We'll talk about you little scamp.
That was sort of like one of those nothing articles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certainly more to say on that coming up.
Yeah, it's weird seeing that cover. Like, it's wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, well, yeah, we'll get around to that.
We'll get there. Bernie Summerfield were on the Planet of the Cats. So anyone, if you're a cat lover, this might be the audiobook for you. I don't have anything much to say about it. It's probably not going to buy it. But this was an interesting one.
This certainly came out of left field.
The Unbound returns in April with Colin Baker playing essentially the War Doctor.
Yeah. Colin is busy this year. Like, he's got January.
Yeah,
then he's got
February
the year
of Colin.
Then he's got March, April, and May. He's got June off. And then he's got July, August, and September. He is.
No, isn't June out of time?
No, July's out of time.
I get mixed up. Okay, yeah. There we go.
Last year it was June. Year before that
that's why I'm getting mixed up.
They like switching the date just to confuse us.
There we go. So this is what if the Doctor touched those two wires together, and he had the right. And this is going to be 2 box sets. So we've got Doctor of War Genesis, and then I think the other one's, is it Destiny? Is it?
Yeah, it's sort of playing off the 2 Fourth Doctor Dalek stories, isn't it?
Actually, yeah, it is. I have to say, I'm pretty excited for this.
Do you think the Daleks are even going to be in it?
I don't. I feel like they will be in there.
Yeah, because when you hear Sixth Doctor Time War, that's your first thought, but they're never actually confirmed. You don't have Nick Briggs in the cast yet on the page, and they're never mentioned. And obviously, they would be wiped out, but this is Doctor Who. There are ways around that. So yeah, mate.
We've got Jeffrey Beavers. That's an interesting one. Having Jeffrey Beavers back. It's been a long time since we've had a bit of Crispy. I mean, he might not even be Crispy.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
Perry is an odd one because you're thinking you've got Doctor Who Unbound. You can have the Sixth Doctor with anyone now. Why are we having him with Perry?
I think it suits the Sixth Doctor because the Sixth Doctor is that unsettled. You know, you look at how he's in the Twin Dilemma. He's quite violent, so I can guess. But then it'd be quite interesting to have Davison in that role because it'd be something polar opposite to what his Doctor is.
I do hope that the opening of this, similar to what we had with Doom Coalition, where we got Sylvester cameoing at the start, if we get a Night of the Doctor style recreation with Peter Davison as the Fifth Doctor instead.
That'd be really... See, they probably won't, and I'll be disappointed when I listen to it. It's not there. But that'd be a nice little thing to have.
Is he even the Sixth Doctor in this timeline, or does it go direct from Baker to Baker?
That'd be interesting. Or maybe Tom. Maybe get Tom to do the Night of the Doctor thing. I don't know. Yeah. Or did Fourth Doctor die in an explosion of blowing up the Daleks, and that's how it regenerated?
Yeah, and it's like they seem to say it's taking place directly after Genesis, but where are Sarah and Harry? Oh no, hang on. It's what about Sarah and Harry? That's the quote up there.
Oh. Writers look good. John Dorney, Lee Morgan, James Kettle.
They certainly seem to be going for weirder stories, which I think is definitely what you want from a Time War.
It's going to be interesting because I think Big Finish's Time War has a flavour, like you said when we did like the tier list of the Eighth Doctor ones, that they all have that same distinct feel. So it'll be interesting if this is Big Finish's best take on the Time War in the Unbound. I think this is a good little way to explore it, really.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever see this crossover into other ranges at some point, given that David Warner has.
Yeah, because I wonder if we get David Warner in it. I like David Warner to be in it.
Yeah, still waiting for more from him. It's been a while.
Yeah, hopefully, because I do enjoy David Warner's Doctor. But yeah, are you going to pick it up?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, of course. That's a silly question. But yeah, quite excited.
The cover really disappoints me.
I'm quite excited about what theme they're going to use. They're going to give us a new updated one. It'll be interesting.
Hopefully not just the Time War theme.
Hopefully, yeah, that'll be, or maybe that, and then it just goes into like static and it starts to go into something completely different.
Yeah, I think certainly Unbound is one of those opportunities you have for interesting new themes. So hopefully they make use of that.
I mean, it definitely has that flair of an early Big Finish, so I think that's why I'm quite excited. My inner edgelord's coming back out.
Yeah.
Rory Goes to Camelot. Did you pick this one up because you were a big fan of Lone Centurion?
I haven't yet. I probably will at some point. It's one of those ones where I'm waiting until I can get a big group of them all together so I can get that discount. So that'll probably be next month, along with 8th of March, Unit Nemesis, and Mind and Hodiak.
There we go. That's your next big horse.
Third and Second Doctor. We've just talked about that. So
yeah, the Annihilators. That was out on the 8th of February. Yeah, good story. Recommend. Continuing the Second Doctor theme, we've got finally news on the Companion Chronicle box set.
This sort of surprised me, even though I was expecting it for so long that I sort of stopped expecting it. And then it suddenly came out, and it's April.
April's gonna be an expensive month.
I feel like my money was on April for this one until they announced Doctor of War.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was sort of thinking, okay, April's full now. This will probably be later on. But then suddenly, no, this is coming out as well.
Yeah, so we got 2 stories with Fraser Hines and then 2 with Zoe.
And the monk's in there.
Oh no, listen. Just gonna skip it now.
Yeah. Rufus Hound isn't confirmed yet, but
I think it's safe to say
he's in the Zoe story by Paul Morris.
Unless they've recast Peter Butterworth.
Yeah, they could have done. You never know.
That could be one.
Yes, I've been hyped for this set for quite a while now. I've been looking forward to more Companion Chronicles. But now that we've got this announcement, I sort of feel like I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not too excited for this set. I probably will pick it up. It's got Daleks, so that means it's probably going to have a decent cover.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah, I just couldn't find myself excited for this set. I think after hearing Michael Trouten and then seeing, we got Second Doctor news, I was hoping for some Beyond the War Games stuff, but no, it was Companion Chronicles.
Now, this is the interesting thing. We thought that this would be the Companion Chronicles sort of last outing, and it will be put to bed because of the delays and all that. But interestingly, that Dominic G. Martin's incoming producer, so it looks like the Companion Chronicles aren't being put to bed just yet.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't know whether he was just there to get these across the finishing line, I think he said. So obviously Ian Atkins was producing him for a while, but then he's moved on to other things. COVID's happening. So they thought he handed over to Dominic. But yeah, I don't know. It could always be that he is going to do the next set as well. Probably down to 3 this is a set, but
if it goes to 3, you feel like it will go to short trip territory in a way.
Yeah, that's the weird thing as well, because short trips themselves have sort of been treading into the Companion Chronicles territory a lot.
And they've become quite chunky as well, really, with short trips. Some of them are. But yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like the Companion Chronicles have had their day now. I think everyone was in uproar when they ended. And then, we got the box set, so it's sticking around a bit. But then it felt like no one really cared too much. Like there was the uproar when it was gone, and no one cared about it enough when it was back around. And obviously we've expanded much more with the first and second Doctor since then. We've had early adventures. We've had David Bradley adventures. We're getting more first Doctor adventures. We're getting second Doctor adventures. It just feels like they no longer have much to replace at Big Finish.
Yeah, and I think I'm more interested to know if the early adventures are carrying on. Because I love them, and I love the Companion Chronicles too. But for me, the box sets have sort of been hit and miss, really.
Yeah,
compared to the single format ones, really.
So I'd say the second Doctor Volume 1 is the only big hitter.
I mean, I enjoyed the first Doctor Volume 2 one with Across the Darkened City. That was a good one, but I think the rest I can take or leave, to be honest. Of course I'm going to end up buying it, but it doesn't feel like an immediate purchase, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It also feels, now not having Deborah as well, and with Elliot Chapman moving on from Ben, just feel like we're getting a bit more limited again.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to recast Deborah Watling and then put that recast in a Companion Chronicle.
No, they wouldn't do that.
But I think it's a good way to keep Fraser to do his Patrick Troughton impression. But again, hopefully the early ventures continue. Hopefully those two back in August sold, so they're viable.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Should we move on to our next bit of news?
Yeah, I think now here's the big one, isn't it? We've been talking about recasts for a while now, and we have another First Doctor recast. Now, we sort of heard about start of the month, didn't we? In Vortex, we were told that it would be a new actor stepping into the role of the First Doctor for the new First Doctor Adventures.
We had wild speculation that we were going to get like an Unbound with like Annette Badland playing the First Doctor, but we've got something a lot more traditional.
Very traditional season 3 when you look at like the stories and like the feel of the clip they gave us. And I mean,
did you listen to the podcast talking about it?
Yeah, they had an extra clip on there as well, didn't they? I'll be honest, I'm struggling with this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it doesn't help that season 3 just isn't quite my cup of tea when it comes to First Doctor nostalgia.
Okay.
Like, I think I'm much more into like that early stuff. I love that much more authentic, that wonder of the universe when it comes to First Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Susan, and then later on with Vicky as well. I think that's where it's really at with the First Doctor. Here, the show feels very tired. And I think there's a lot of behind the scenes turmoil in season 3 as well that you can sort of feel in the some of the stories. And so, yeah, I don't know. This is just sort of like bringing all that back to me when I look at this and when I hear those clips. Like, it's very authentic. And I think Stephen Noonan is doing a good job capturing the mannerisms there. Like, I think his voice is slightly off, but there's nothing you can do about that. I think I would rather they go for the performance than a pitch perfect impersonation. But yeah, I don't know. And also the cover art, if you can call it that, isn't really doing much.
It feels like a placeholder, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that artwork.
So it just feels. I mean, I'm still going to pick it up, I imagine. But yeah, it just feels like it's leaving the First Doctor in a confusing place now. Because we had a recast of David Bradley. And now we've got like this separate crew of all recasts. So is this going to be like going alongside original cast members in the same vein as the Third Doctor and Second Doctor recasts are? I mean, I imagine it will be at some point, but yeah, will we be getting Stephen Noonan with Stephen and Vicky? And then what do you do with earlier stuff after that? Because you sort of have Barbara as both Gemma Powell as both her interpretation of Barbara, but she also did the original Barbara in the early adventures, if that makes sense. Like, if you go off what they use, it feels like he's more here so that they can have William Hartnell on the cover instead of David Bradley.
But they haven't got rid of David Bradley, have they? They've said they still want to work with him. But it's interesting.
Yeah, but that seems like it's going back to volume 1 of the First Doctor Adventures. And I think Nick Briggs said in the podcast, we'll still have David back for a special every now and then. So it feels like he's no longer the main First Doctor. But yeah, they've still got a cliffhanger to resolve at some point. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because this feels like it wants to be more authentic to the era, while they want David Bradley's stuff to be more, its own thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Bradley stuff is so authentic. So
it is, yeah.
I understand this decision, but I'm just mixed on my feelings towards it.
I think with this, they're so focused on going, look, we haven't covered season 3 So let's do it. This is a whole new chapter for them to explore, and I think that's what this relaunch really is. Like season 7, this, season 6B, it definitely feels like they want to push something a little bit different to go, look, we aren't doing the same old stuff. We're here for you to give you some different Doctor Who.
Yeah. In terms of stories, you got the Outlaws,
which is historical, isn't it?
Sounds like I imagine so. Although Rufus Hound is in the cast for this one, so could we have the monk there?
Okay.
Yeah, on Twitter they put out an image which is the cover, except it's got the featuring bit at the bottom with a Net Badland and a couple of others. I think I'll send that to you actually over. I saved it a while back.
Well,
I think I saved it at least.
Fingers crossed you have. While you do that, I'll quickly talk about Stephen Noonan. It took me a couple of listens to get it, to get what he was doing. But then the podcast will explain how Hartnell's voice differentiated practically every story, but there was more of a lightness to his voice in historicals because Bill liked the historical stories. But there's more of a hum, like there's the intonation and rhythm of speech is there for Hartnell, and you definitely get it with certain lines. But there are certain moments where you're like, but then again, it's out of context, like the Michael Trouten thing. Once we're in that story, it probably all flow very nicely. I think Lauren Cornelius still doing a grand job as Dodo.
I was weirdly thrown by Lauren Cornelius.
Oh, really?
And I don't know. Yeah, I was fine with her in. Yeah, and I don't think she's doing anything different here. But I just think alongside Stephen Noonan, something just wasn't working for me with either of them.
Do you think if you had Peter Purvis in there, it would?
Yeah,
maybe have a little bit more.
I feel like you needed the original cast member in there at first to balance it out. It feels like we're jumping too far ahead. It would be as if the Third Doctor Adventures went straight to Volume 7 without Joe in there. I feel like you needed Katie Manning alongside Tim and alongside the other recast at first to squeeze it in. You didn't necessarily need all 6 volumes of it.
Yeah.
But I think, it needed that easing in at first.
I mean, I admire the balls of them to feel that confident to go, you know what, we're confident in these people, and all power to Big Finish for doing it.
Yeah, I'm currently scrolling through Big Finish's Twitter to find.
The miniaturist sounds a bit like Celestial Toymaker Queen of Time. That gives me that sort of vibe of a story.
Yeah, definitely. It's Celestial Toymaker, isn't it? And I don't.
Yeah.
I think that's another. I'm not really a big fan of that story either. So
yeah,
it's just another thing putting me off a bit.
I mean, who knows? This could be the dark horse for you. Might be one of your favorites.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Here we are. I found it. I can send it to you.
There we go. I'll have a little look at this one.
It's also, if you look at the version on the website as well, it's not centered. Like the logo is a bit too far to the right, but here it's nicely centered up. And it is, I don't. Got Glynis Barber and Paul Copley in there as well.
Oh, yeah.
God, that cover needed a bit more on it. You needed Dodo on there, really.
Like I love that art style for like the audio novels, the War Doctor, but it's just for sidebar, isn't it? And I think it's not gonna pop on the shelf if you were in a shop. It's not one you're like, oh, I'm interested in getting that. It doesn't really. I get what they're doing, but it doesn't lend itself. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't give the set its own identity.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it look bland, which I think is another thing that's shaking me on this set, I suppose. I don't mean to be as negative as I am, because I think Stephen Noonan is putting in a lot of effort to this performance, and that does come across. But there are just some things that shake me about this one.
It's had an interesting reaction, this set. Like, Twitter seemed to be like, this is Hartnell. Then Facebook's very much like, no, this is terrible. What are you doing, Big Finish?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. It'd be interesting to see once it's out, once the dust settled and people have listened to it, where people fall on it, really.
Yeah. DJ Masonic says, is that the final cover? I presumed it was a placeholder. I think, sadly, it is the final cover because it's got like the whole layout for it and such. Whereas usually for the placeholders, it'll be like the if you go on to the Second Doctor Adventures tab quick.
I'll just go Second Doctor Collect.
Yeah,
is that right?
In there as well.
There we go.
I think.
I'll have to scroll.
It might be easier just go Second Doctor Adventures tab. Or is? Oh no, we did have a.
What are you looking for beyond the War Games?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, there we go.
You can sort of see it's a similar style, but it doesn't have the Big Finish logo at the bottom or the cast at the top. That's how you can usually tell whether something's placeholder or finished.
Yeah.
And I think also the fact that it's been announced so close to it as well makes it feel so weird, because for so long we were expecting David Bradley there.
Yeah. Because we thought that would be sort of him taking the reins as the First Doctor because of that image on the First Doctor banner, isn't it? Because you've got Bradley and Hartnell there, haven't you? Just load it up quickly.
Yeah.
Because I think, he's going to be the face of the First Doctor, but now they're going back to Hartnell as the face of the covers now.
Yeah. I suppose it makes sense for the relaunch to have him be there. And it probably clears things up for that Three Doctors, the original Three Doctors audio that we've discussed is hopefully being made a few times. So I imagine it'll be him, Michael, and Tim.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just does feel like it confuses things in terms of what we're going to do going forward with the First Doctor. Because, I mean, you're going to need another recast for Ben at some point, presumably, unless they're just not going to touch. Because you've still got Annika Wills there, so you still. It's only fair to keep him in her stories, but she can't have any without Ben. She's not in the Companion Chronicles for whatever reason, so. Yeah, but then do you do Stephen Noonan, her, and then another recast of Ben? Do you get the guy in from not Adventure in Space and Time, but you could
Twice
get in
Upon
as
a
well.
Time?
Twice Upon a Time, yeah. But then if you're doing that, is he more related to Bradley? Do you then use his face on the cover? Do you then get the woman who played Polly in that story, get her face on the cover as well, and have them be?
It's just open a can of worms by saying all that.
It's just, it confuses so much stuff, I guess. I don't.
I guess we just have to wait and see them, really, with that.
I'm happy with my early adventures with Peter Purvis voicing the First Doctor.
Oh, this is an interesting turn. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. But I think nothing against Stephen Noonan, no. I think he is doing a brilliant job with the voice. It just does feel like an odd decision, I suppose.
I'm looking forward to it, because it's pure historical. We don't get many pure historical, so
written by Elizabeth Miles. She's a great writer.
Yeah, she's good. She does some good stuff.
Nearly there. I think she has captured that authenticity of that TARDIS conversation. Like, it did very much put me in mind of Vicky and the First Doctor at the start of the Time Meddler.
Yeah,
I think it's got that vibe to it. But sorry, I interrupted you introducing us to Rose.
Billie Piper's back after her saying, I don't think she said, but I think she just wanted to not do Big Finish or something like that.
I think it was just like an agent thing, wasn't it?
Okay, was it?
I think it was don't get in contact with us, we'll get in contact with you.
Okay.
When Billy's ready to do more. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure on the situation there. But obviously, they worked around it and got her back again. Brilliant timing for the announcement, to be fair.
Valentine's Day, though.
Yeah, with Rose, yeah.
So we have the Dimension Canon Volume 2, Other Worlds, and Volume 3, Trapped. So we've got Donna Noble kidnapped, and Rose is trapped. So, yeah.
It's not looking good for Temp Doctor's companions.
It's not looking good.
No,
are we going to get a Tennant cameo? Who knows?
Yeah. And these sets are October this year and then September next year. So we've got a bit of leeway on these ones. It's not as full on as some of the more recent announcements have been, where you're getting them in April.
Yeah, so it's a bit of distance. You've got time to recover.
Yeah. It's funny because not too long ago, we were complaining they announced things too far ahead. It's like most Fourth Doctor things, but now we've had the opposite problem.
Yeah, but hey, we roll. Did you listen to the first Dimension Canon, didn't you?
No, I never picked that one up, actually.
No, you didn't?
I've always been tempted to.
Maybe
I will now that I've got these few more. I was going to, like, right up until it came out, and then just, for whatever reason, didn't. I can't quite remember why, but yeah. I have got part 1, actually.
Oh, I thought you did. So I was going to say you're going to pick up the other 2, but maybe not.
I like that it has a different vibe to it from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not fighting monsters; it's much more human. It feels very much more Russell, I suppose, and that's like even more so. It's like something else you'd write. It's a bit more depressing, I guess.
I mean, I only listened to the first part. I mean, I've got the box, and I should have continued, but from what I listened to, I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I probably will end up getting the other 2, but again, it's not an immediate purchase at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a thing of seeing what else comes out around that time as well. I think that's probably why I didn't pick up the first one, just because I was spending so much money on other things around that time. Something had to go.
I mean, does this open the door for more Billy with Tennant, Eccleston? You know?
Yeah, it was a bit bad because when I first saw this announcement, my first thought was, "Oh, we can get more with Tennant, perhaps. Like they don't have to record together necessarily." And then I was talking to you, and you mentioned Eccleston. I did not even consider Eccleston and Rose together.
I mean, who knows? Series 2 of Eccleston could be Rose, which I doubt it. I think it's going to be solo, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we'd have heard about it by now, but yeah. I think Eccleston himself has said he's enjoying being solo, though. Like, he likes being this lone wolf.
Just one box set, Chris, and then you can have your lone wolf, please.
Yeah. I feel like he'd enjoy reuniting with Billy as well.
I think, yeah, because he always talks fondly of Billy, but, you know, she's a great actress. Yeah, he's all about that. I mean, I guess, speaking of Chris, should we go on to our last bit of news?
Yeah, let's go for it.
If I can get the page load, and this is where my mouse freezes, and we can't get the page. The Cybermats have got into the system. But yeah, 9th Doctor, Old Friends. What a shocker. February, the month of fake covers.
Yeah. Gives you hope for the first Doctor Adventures cover.
I mean, I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it. But yeah, wow. Suddenly, this cover looks a lot better for me, because I think we spoke about the original cover when it was first announced, didn't we, on stream? And we were saying, it just feels weirdly structured. It feels like something's missing. But now they filled that in, and it comes together so much more. It suits it very well.
I mean, I guess we can talk a little bit about the stories as well, because we've listened to it. A bit of it, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, I've listened to the first episode. You've listened to the first 2 episodes.
2, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, how was your reaction to Cybermen just being in it in general?
It was a shock. I didn't expect it because, like, Monster Metropolis, that was the selling factor for Lost Warriors, wasn't it? Oh my god, Ninth Doctor Cybermen.
Yeah. And I suppose that's why they were holding off on this, because they wanted to keep that until the very last minute.
And I wasn't against it. I was like, oh, this is great. Like you said before we started doing the stream, but it fits series 1 with the Dalek format. One lone Dalek, then Bad Wolf parting the ways, you get the army.
Yeah. And I think also with the Brigadier being back as well, it's nicely coming full circle, because for all we know, this is the last time the Doctor and the Brigadier will meet chronologically. It's the latest,
seems like it,
because I mean, I imagine they'll get Tennant and John Coleshaw together at some point, but
I hope so.
For the moment, this is the latest in both their timelines that they've met chronologically, other than Cyberbrig, if you count that.
I'm praying this isn't the origin of Cyberbrig.
Yeah, I don't imagine so.
It won't be.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's not quite nicely bringing it full circle, because it was technically, the Yeti. It wasn't the invasion, but still, it's bringing us back around to that. This design suits Eccleston quite well. I think it doesn't feel like why they use that one. It feels quite exciting to use the because it's like that nice blend of classic and new Who, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if anything, I feel like it should have been Battlefield Brig on the cover.
I mean, just hearing Eccleston say Mondasian Cyberman, that's something where you're like, wow, I never expected to hear that.
I'm excited for that.
And just the interaction, like the way this box set's structured, because you have that lovely story, Fond Farewell, about funeral and friends. And I guess that puts the Ninth Doctor in a bit of a morbid way of going, damn, I want to see the Brig. And there's this lovely touching moment between the Brig and the Doctor going, oh, then I'm not going to be here forever, Doctor. And there's that lovely moment where like, oh no, you're going to be immortal, Brig. And I think that's a lovely nod to Nick Courtney, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I think as a surprise as well, because we saw Old Friends, and it now turns out that that's also a reference to when he sees the head in the museum and he says, an old friend of mine. What? But yeah, it's not something we ever thought, because like we say, we had Lost Warriors. There's our Ninth Doctor Cybermen, we're done. But it all adds up now. The covers not being revealed, individual covers not being revealed any earlier, so that they kept that surprise there. And
the Spine is going to have another Cyberman, so
yeah, probably
makes you feel less guilty.
Yeah. Or is it going to have the Brig on it?
Oh damn! A Warren Brown running in place.
Yeah, we've got a different picture of him on the cover now, which works a bit better, I feel.
I guess Praxis, is it? I think that's probably Praxis again, isn't it?
Might be. I don't know.
I can't say. Praxis isn't one of my favourites.
No. I think it looks like it's a different leather jacket to before, but maybe not. I'm not sure. But yeah, it all does feel like everything's coming together now. And I'm wondering if I'm going to have the same feeling listening to this as I did with Dalek Universe 3, like the finale for that, where a lot of things do come together that you feel like Dalek Universe before that was losing a bit of direction maybe, but then suddenly you realise what it was all about and it all rings around nicely. I wonder if this will do the same for Series 1 of the Ninth Doctor Adventures for me.
I mean, that's the thing. When you listen to the Ninth Doctor box sets, you don't really think that it's an ongoing series. It's its own little identity, self-contained stories in a box set. But then you get the link back to Monster of Metropolis, and you're like, oh, okay. So it makes you wonder: are we gonna get callbacks to the other stories? If you have, got all 4 box sets. But
yeah. Has there been something like Bad Wolf or Torchwoods that we've missed all this time, like those little drops and hints? Yeah, I think it's exciting, and it's odd because for me, this box set I wasn't too excited for before, then suddenly wake up in the morning, see this cover, and I get so much more hyped for it.
And then you watch the trailer and you're like, wow, this is a really good trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, because the original audio trailer didn't do much for me.
Yeah, that's such an interesting one, really. So I was saying to you that I would have liked them to have done like the Berryman, which is again folklore, isn't it? And the story touches on it, and like, oh, that's a nice idea. But then you forget we kind of had like a Scottish folklore story in 2020 with Grey Man on the Mountain again with the brig. So I guess this gives it its own identity, and again, are we gonna have a link back to the Ninth Doctor's appearance in Scotland?
Yeah, and I suppose it feels finale worthy now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas before, especially with Another Set coming in just 3 months, it didn't feel like this was a finale before now. It felt like it's just Another Set. It's got a nice 2-parter in there, but yeah. And I mean, the synopses for the last 2 episodes as well were quite vague. And now we know why again. So, just exciting times, really.
It was just, for me, it was one of those moments where I saw the trailer and I was like, I have to listen to this immediately.
It's a brilliant trailer. I mean, those Ninth Doctor ones are always great, but that was on another level. The focus on the Cybermen as well, getting to see all the different ones. I love that they included the moon base instead of the 2 of the Cybermen. Of like they avoided the obvious choice there with that design and went, we'll give you something different instead for the diehard fans.
I think there were meant to be other Cybermen, but they were just cut for time, according to the person who did the trailer.
I think, wheel spare parts and
Nightmare
in Silver, yeah. So, yeah, that could have been interesting. But Eccleston's great at those monologues, isn't he, for the trailers? Just having it run, the Cybermen are coming.
Just goosebumps, yeah. For me, this, now we sort of are at that point now, it did feel like Eccleston Series 2, that the Cybermen were the big bad of Series 2 of Doctor Who when it came back. So it does feel like Eccleston's getting his what if he did stay for Series 2, but no Rose.
Yeah.
Because I remember saying that with Ravagers, that there's that energy and life to his Doctor in Ravagers where he's, on fire.
Yeah, I mean, chances are we're going to do a Ninth Doctor Adventures stream next week, aren't we?
Yeah.
List them all and then, get our full thoughts out. This is more just what we've
Rambling.
had so far, but this has potential to be the best box, I will say. Because I did go into Fond Farewell thinking, I'm getting this out the way so that I can get onto the finale. I want my Cyberman. I sort of don't want to listen to this, but I need to I can't skip it. And I really did enjoy it. It's a great episode.
I think this is the box set for me at this. I'm only 2 stories in. I mean, it could all go pear-shaped, but I feel like the Ninth Doctor has an identity on Big Finish now. And I think this box set's given him that.
And it's funny how he's coming more into that with more classic elements. Whereas Ninth Doctor on TV wasn't so much about that. And that's what they tried to do with Ravagers and Respond to All Calls, which are both great sets. And I think for a lot of Lost Warriors as well. I mean, even the Cyberman story in that is something very different. And I appreciate it for that. But I'm glad we now get a more proper Ninth Doctor Cyberman story, I suppose. I mean, I imagine so. I haven't listened to it yet. It could be completely different, but yeah.
That's the interesting thing. If we go back to Monster Metropolis, does it still have the same shine it did when we first listened to it? Because we know we have this now.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I hope I'm going to crack out the vinyl at some point and listen on there. So,
do the marathon on vinyl. By the time you finish it, hopefully, Old Friends has arrived.
I mean, it came before Christmas. What's Lost Warriors? So let's hope that Old Friends won't take too long. Might be here before Annihilators.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? It might be 8th Doctor and Charlie. That starts not right for me. And then we have the question: do you continue the vinyl, or do you just go separate ways and go? That was my little dive into the Eccleston vinyls. Don't know.
I mean, I'm guessing you're waiting for the covers and such first, aren't you?
Yeah.
Before making that decision. I am leaning towards this is my cut-off point now with the vinyls. Like I got my box to store them in for Christmas. It can't take another 4 sets, I don't think. So I feel like vinyls were something special, but now having 8 vinyls of Christopher Eccleston, it'll feel like a bit much, and it won't feel as special anymore.
Yeah, I think that's
and
for
it's just
me.
Expensive.
Yeah, for me, it was the reason why I got the vinyl and the CDs, because like this is probably the only time Eccleston's going to do Big Finish. Let's go all out, and a couple months down the line, you get the series 2, which is great and lovely. But you're like, yeah, that's it. That's my cutoff point now. So I think I'm in agreement with you personally.
Yeah,
just so I can put that money to other things.
Yeah. Also, I do want my Eccleston CDs as well, and I'm not going to splash out and get both CD and vinyl like you have. So I think it'll work for me getting Series 1 on vinyl and then Series 2, maybe 3, fingers crossed, on CD.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Eccleston until February 2023 at the moment, so we don't have to worry about losing him just yet.
Yeah, I was just thinking this time last year we were like, oh, this time next year we would be listening to the last Eccleston box set, and here we are. We're listening to it.
Yeah,
it's been a wild ride, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it next week. Yeah.
Hello, YouTube, and hello, Mr. Monk Cactus as well.
Hello.
I am Albert from Port Talbot, and I'm eating chili. Very good to know. Silas Winter says, will you be getting Ninth Doctor Series 2 on CD or vinyl? I think we kind of answered that one already. You there? How are those Dark Universe vinyls? They are gorgeous.
Yeah, how are they, Luke?
I do love my Dalek Universe vinyls. I think it suits it, having, David Tennant in the classic series era, having a new Doctor on this classic format of audio listening. I mean, speaking of money being put to better things, is the Dalek Universe finals going to be those better things, or have you written those off now?
I probably will get them. I probably will. I mean, my birthday's in a couple of weeks, so I might stick them on my birthday list. So who knows? I would like to get them because I love the cover art so much.
Trojan Dalek is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, just Volume 2 and Volume 3, because I got the Respond to All Calls vinyls, like, that artwork's crystal clear. I can see Eccleston's stubble, so I'm like, I need to get the Dalek Universe ones, but it's just that thought of spending £100.
Yeah, it is.
Have to do a week of work for that.
Knocks back your Dalek fund a bit as well, doesn't it?
Knocks back my Dalek fund, and stream room, or podcast room, I should call it. I don't know. Yeah, because I've got a vision. Yeah, but yeah, whether that £100 goes towards full-size Dalek or actual Dalek Universe vinyls, who knows?
Stylish one also says the last chunky box set. At least Fourth Doctor Adventures are keeping the individual covers alive. Although, why can't the final story in both volume 11 and 12 be bought by themselves? Here we go. We have the piece of news we forgot about
because it was on
the Fourth Doctor Adventures individual covers, and also the format. There is some interesting, because this isn't the last chunky box set. Fourth Doctor Adventures Volume 2 will be just as chunky, because it'll be 2 sets of 2 CDs, and then you'll have a third CD for the thickness with just 1 CD in it. That's a lot of CD.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to explain, but if you look, I don't think
we're going to see the last of the Eccleston covers.
No, I feel like
they were the best sellers of that year, and on the website it said Tom was in a slip jewel case. So I think that it's just a common thing what's put on the website.
Yeah, I think they've made a mistake there probably, because it's weird. They've switched it for Fourth Doctor Ventures Series 11, and then they switched it back. So, but yeah, it will be the same format as Series 9 and 10 were, and then you'll have an extra case in there for the second box set of each one, where they have the extra story added on. So we get an individual cover for that as well, even though it's not an individual download. At least it's not yet. They might announce that when they announce the covers.
There we go. So we have the cover art for Blood of the Time Lords. Interesting that we're getting Deadly Assassin Tom on both covers.
Yeah, that felt a bit weird. But I think it suits Blood of the Time Lords, but I'm not sure about Ravencliff Witch.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But I suppose at least they're making the most of a different Tom. Then hopefully we get something different on Series 11.
So yeah, pretty nice cover.
The more controversial one, isn't it? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I like the sound of the story. It's just that it's got a massive elephant in the room.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a great cover.
It sort of reminds me of is it the Pikes from Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, they remind me of something from Rings of Akaten.
Oh yeah, the Vigil.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then the Ravencliff Witch cover is an interesting one.
I've just got to keep scrolling down to find it. Or down. I could have just clicked the button. I've been.
Oh yeah, you could just click next.
I could have clicked next.
I mean, you still can. You could go forward and then.
I can't because my mouse froze.
Oh dear.
Oh no! Why is this? There we go. The mouse is. Hang on. We can do it. We can do it. Don't worry. We'll be fine.
No, other way. Other way.
Oh bugger! Click again. This is why I don't do IT.
You tried turning it off again.
Then the stream will stop. I mean, we've already got a storm happening. There we go.
Yeah, I like the layout. I like the work that's done on it, but then it's got this very glaring filter over it. That it means nothing really stands out, and it hurts your eyes to look at almost.
It sort of reminds me a bit like Xoltis in a way.
Yeah, I like the how you've got those people up against the glass in the background. You see, like where you've got that weird hexagonal design.
Oh, oh yeah, with the hands.
Yeah.
Ah, damn! You've got an eye for detail.
Yeah, oh jeez. About that. I'm excited for this story.
It feels like very traditional Hinchcliffe, doesn't it? It sounds it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very creepy as well with the witch. I hope that it doesn't do a Cloisters of Terror where, you know, it probably will go all science gobbledygook.
I have faith in David Llewellyn.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he avoided the science gobbledygook in Caddock Point.
Okay.
Yeah. I think part of the point of the threat in that story is that because no one can explain it, it is basically supernatural in a sense.
Oh, okay.
Because it's only Andy around, really, so you don't have the torture team to make an analysis of it. Yeah, so... Yeah, and sort of David spoke about that in the extras a bit, saying how he didn't want to overly explain it and then reduce the fear factor of it. So hopefully he's carried forward that mentality here. Or, well, he'd have written this long before that, actually, so...
Yeah.
And I think he mentioned in the Vortex article, he mentions he's challenging Nigel Neal of Quatermass fame. But sort of more of his later stuff as well. I think the Stone Tape. That's sort of like a horror story with a bit of science fiction elements. And the idea is that these traumatic events events are recorded in the stone itself of this old building, and that's how it's haunted.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how David Llewellyn does with that one. But yeah, I think that is all the news now.
Yeah, that's the news.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't think there's any other cover reveals we've forgotten about. Because they keep the covers close to their chests at the moment. We don't have anything for April yet other than First Doctor.
Well, if you can call it a cover.
Yeah. Oh, we got Torchwood as well, to be fair. But yeah.
Yeah.
And there's even a Blake 7 announced for April as well, just to pad out even more for those who get Blake 7.
Yeah, pad it all out. What about Jekyll and Hyde? It exists now. Huzzah!
Yeah, we're finally getting it. I mean, Tron Heffernan, good cast there.
Yeah, very good actor.
Did you know there's a TARDIS wiki page for TARDIS wiki itself? I'm not surprised, but
TARDIS wiki will implode with that information.
Yeah. They make so many weird pages. I think there might be one for spanking.
Probably.
I saw that on Twitter the other day.
Oh, damn. Okay. Oh, dear.
And then they'll probably say it in some Virgin New Adventure.
That's definitely Virgin New Adventure territory.
I'm going to have what's the weirdest things we can find on TARDIS Wiki?
That's another stream in itself, I feel.
Yeah. Spanking does have a page.
Oh, damn. Here we go.
It's a long page. I mean, was an activity performed on backsides. TV, The Lost Boy, that's Sarah Jane Adventures, used as both a type of punishment and in sexual contexts. TV, The Last Night, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship is referenced there.
How much time do people have to be concocting these articles?
Oh, there's also class here. The word was also 20th, that's 21st century slang for masturbation from the coach with the dragon tattoo.
Wow. I feel enlightened with that information. My life has changed.
For the Slovene, spanking with the use of the Bartolboish tree was a form of discipline for children.
Ben, how did you spend your Thursday night? Well, we were looking at the article of spanking on TARDIS Wiki. That's how we roll here.
Oh. When the 11th Doctor told River Song she shouldn't do things to provoke Sontarans, she replied, "Well, you already had me banged up in jail for 5 years. What else are you going to do? Spank me."
Classic River there.
Where's it?
Oh, no.
Dalek Invasion of Earth gets a reference.
Of course it does.
Jolly good Spank Potter.
Of course it does.
Oh, dear. That's enough of that. That's enough TARDIS Wiki. Yeah,
you don't want to implode reading too much of that. I'm sure people will want a TARDIS Wiki stream. Oh, dear me. Dear, oh dear.
TARDIS Wiki always describes things in past tense. It makes you think an actor has died one time. Oh, it made me think. I'm getting my tenses mixed up now. Sorry. It made me think an actor had died one time. Yeah, that is very true, DJ Masonic. It is an unusual. I suppose it saves them going back and editing it later when they die.
Yeah, saves them job. They haven't got time. They're moving on to other articles. Will you be getting physical releases of the relaunch, Luke?
I mean, I was, but then the first Doctor Adventures cover came out, and now I'm debating it.
Oh, damn. Let's hope it is a placeholder.
TARDIS Wiki has a page for Glass, Cattle, every character of Throw from the Future, Grass, every one-off character from a Doctor Who Adventures comic, and a page for every alien delegate in it master plan.
Yeah. Do you know? Oh, go on.
You'll click on articles sometimes, and they'll have the link there to a page that's not made yet for all the characters. They don't just leave it as an unlinked thing; they leave it as a link ready to be made for someone to fill in later.
I'm just amazed people just think, you know what, we want a wiki article on that character. It's strange, but I admire the dedication. Yeah, I think that's pretty much just all done for tonight, I feel. We've done the Annihilators. Check it out. It's a good release. We didn't do scores for the Annihilators, actually. What would you give it out of 10?
Oh, no. Yeah, we put it on the tier list, but didn't actually. I'd say an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'll go 8.5 for now.
Yeah, I'll go in the middle.
Rating. Yeah. I'll go in the middle for that.
Charlotte from the Village has a lengthy page.
Oh, the Foe from the Future character. Blimey. Somebody's probably give her a whole backstory and wanting a spin-off, and Big Finish can read that and commission a box set of it.
Once an actor copied and pasted their IMDb page onto TARDIS Wiki. Which actor was that stylish one? That'd
be interesting. Once we found that out, we'll say goodnight, because it is getting late.
Yeah, we started a bit late with this one, didn't we?
Yeah, because we're having a good catch-up.
Yeah,
we started. What is the most obscure Doctor Who character ever in all media? I don't know.
Too obscure for us to know.
Mr. Crabtree from The Idiot's Lantern. I don't know why I remember it. It's just because of a Battles in Time card. Not even an obscure character. There you go.
No, that's true.
TARDIS Wiki treat Blogs of Doom from D-Doom is a hard fact. It ruins a veil. Look up the article for a laugh. We'll definitely do that at some point. Facts. Oh, yeah. That's every Doctor Who fan. Yeah, I think it's time for us to bid you all good night. We could possibly see you tomorrow for another stream.
Oh, maybe.
Who knows? It's Friday. It's the usual stream day. This has just been a little, hey, do you fancy doing a stream tonight? And here we are.
Yeah. What's the name of the storm that's raging at night?
Is it? I can't remember. I'm going to have a little look now. I mean, hopefully we've got power. If there's there might be no power.
That's true. We will have our power.
The Daleks have taken all the power. They're controlling the storm.
Yeah.
Is it Eunice? Storm Eunice?
Thank Eunice for extra streams.
We're making it for lost time.
We certainly have a lot of ideas.
Well, you've made a load of thumbnails, so I'm like, let's get my arse in gear and let's get doing them.
Yeah. I went for a bit of a retro one with this one, the Annihilators.
I like it a lot.
Something to stand out a bit more from the usual fare.
Yeah, we've got some Taran tier list, Cyberman tier list, Locum Doctors, Paladin. It's safe to say that there's plenty, and of course, plenty more upcoming in the future. Russell T. Davis, Big Finish as well. That would be soon time to do that as well. That'd be exciting.
Yeah, we're more than halfway through February now, so we'll soon be getting the Vortex for March, which will give us all the stuff about April. Then, before we know it, things from March will be dropping.
And we'll be dropping more streams.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us on this fine Thursday night. And thank you again for your questions. And hopefully we've entertained you for 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh, Stylish One said, the Cyberman tier list, my hottest takes shall be unleashed. Oh dear. Yeah, hopefully we can survive less scathed than we were after our Dalek tier list. Some of our opinions weren't appreciated there.
That's why we took a break, because we wanted to lick our wounds and go, oh damn. But no, I still stand by that tier list.
I also officially red card my comments about you not liking Trouten.
Okay.
Does that mean was that an accidental typo of retcon, or is red card something I'm?
Is it a new slang? I don't know. We're old now. We're old boys.
I'm going to assume it was a compliment and say thank you, Stylish One.
There we go. I shall say thank you too, so I don't feel left out.
I think you were included in Trouten comments, Steve.
Okay.
Redact. There we go. Thank you, Stylish One.
There we go.
We do love our Trouten.
We do. And
we were caught in.
He's got a new face. Yeah. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow, depending if we've got power, because it's warnings everywhere. So yeah,
it's the oncoming storm.
Quite literally, listen to batten down the hatches, listen to some Ninth Doctor while the storm happens. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Take care of yourselves.